of questions that I've been asking myself lately, and I want to start understanding myself a bit more, and I want to go through like this journey with everyone else too, because I have a hard time like speaking a lot in like public and in certain environments where, I'm just new to, and it's fresh to me. So I wrote down a few questions that kind of explains my direction and who I am as a person, and just certain things in my life that I feel like are blank spaces or voids, and getting not even just my supporters to understand, but myself also, because some things I'm looking back at in my life, and I'm like reflecting, and I'm like, damn, like, well, why do I do these things? Or why am I this new person? Why have I chose to become Tombstone Girl? So my very first question is why I changed my name from 99 Benny to Tombstone Girl. So it's kind of crazy. Before I get into why I changed my name, I want to say that Tombstone Girl has a lot of significance to it. It has a lot of meanings, and then it doesn't have meaning at all, like it's just a name that was very just kind of just came about. And but the reason why I became 99 Benny was, well, the reason why I went from 99 Benny to Tombstone Girl was, I changed my name a few times. I went from Benny Hachi to 99 Benny to Tombstone Girl. And the way I look at it is that Tombstone Girl is my final form. It's like me becoming the artist, the expressionist that I always wanted to be as a person. Not saying that the name really mattered, but names carry a lot of weight, and the way that I felt about my old names just wasn't carrying enough weight for me, in my heart. And I wanted something that could describe me as a person without being so blunt about it. It's like you hear 99 Benny and you like, oh yeah, that's a guy, that's a rapper. When you hear Tombstone Girl, you're like, what the fuck is a Tombstone Girl? Like, who the fuck is Tombstone Girl? And it's almost this mysteriousness, but also this like this etch for like wanting to learn more about this person, because it's like a name that just is very unique. And I changed it at a very vulnerable time in my life. When I was in New York, I was going from 99 Benny, and don't get me wrong, I was doing well as 99 Benny. I mean, I feel like I was building a fan base, and I was learning things and doing what I needed to do as an artist, but it just didn't feel like myself, and it's funny because I made the EP, I Made This For You, and I don't know if the album went over a lot of people's heads or the EP, but it was a way for me to say goodbye to 99 Benny. And that was like an album for myself that I released to the world and to the public, just to say, hey, like, this is kind of the end of an era. This is kind of the end of this person that I was. And, hello to the new person, Tombstone Girl. And it was like a breath of fresh air when I became Tombstone Girl. I actually thought of Tombstone Girl in a dream, but not only because of a dream. So I was messing with this girl at one point, and I really thought that that was gonna be the girl that I died with, I took to the grave with, you know, like I thought we were gonna be together for a long time. And I used to call her my tombstone girl, you know, like, because it was like a metaphor for like long lasting love, like I'm taking you to the grave, basically. And but the name itself didn't just like, I didn't just start saying that. It was like almost a dream for me. Like I was asleep one day in New York in my apartment, and I woke up. Well, before I woke up, I was in this dream. I can't really remember the dream vividly, like seeing wise, like, but it was like whispers. I could hear the name whispering in the dream. It was just like Tombstone Girl, Tombstone Girl, Tombstone Girl. And like I woke up out of my dream, and it was almost like a light bulb. Like, you know, like you just wake up and you're like, I got it. And that was that. Like I ended up going by Tombstone Girl ever since then. And you know, the change was very dramatic and very big because I was going from Benny for a very long time. So to change my name while I was already in the midst of building my career and my name as 99 Benny, but changing it to Tombstone Girl was very spontaneous. You know, it was very like out of the blue. But it felt good. Like I remember going to a rave the night that I was like, well, the same day that I had the name came to me, I went to a rave later on that night, and I was just so happy to just tell people like, yeah, my name Tombstone Girl, like that's gonna be my name, like, you know. And it was just welcoming a new person, not even a new chapter, not even a new period, a new person, a new me, like, but the me, not just a new me, but the me, you know, the actual me, the way I feel, the way I look at life, the way I carry myself, the way I feel about, you know, my peers, my friends, my family, you know. And it just holds so much weight, you know, that name Tombstone Girl. When I hear the name Tombstone Girl, it just like makes me feel alive, you know. And yeah, I didn't change it because I was going through a hard time, or I didn't change it because I was just like running from myself. If anything, like I was running towards myself, you know. I was running to like almost my final form as an artist, you know, who I will be known as for the next 10, 20 years as a person and as an artist, you know. And I was just blessed to be able to come to that realization at the time that I did. So I have two more questions. What life was like in New York? I feel like I really would love to express this because my life in New York was great. It had its downfalls towards the end of my time in New York, but when I first got to New York, you know, I was I thought I was disciplined and had my mind on a swivel. And I learned very quickly that I didn't. You know, I learned that, damn, I'm just a young kid. I'm 20 years old in a big ass city that I've never lived in my life. You know, I visited a couple times. Like I might have visited New York like twice before I moved there. And, you know, I only knew, you know, Manhattan, you know. Honestly, I didn't really go to Brooklyn or Queens or, you know, places like that. So, you know, moving to New York was one of the greatest decisions I made. It was a learning experience more than for me to expand my brand or blow up. It was for me to discover myself and free myself from a lot of burdens that I was feeling overwhelmed with. Like I had a lot of weight on my shoulders before I moved to New York, and I didn't know where I stood as an artist, or as a person even. It was just like, okay, I make art, but who is this person who makes this art? And that's what I kind of was just trying to discover while I was in New York. And I would say I did. The hardest part about that, though, was that it was hard for me to transition into that person I was becoming and wanted to become, and how I've always seen myself as. And, it took a lot of energy. I did a lot of drugs, a lot of drinking, because I was almost in a cross road with like myself. Like I was just like, it was like I was in this middle of this road, and there's 4 different directions, and I'm like, where do I go? And towards the end of my me living in New York, I definitely think I had an idea of where I was going with my music and my direction and my aesthetic and just who I am. And it was very difficult moving back to Charlotte, but I'm gonna get a little bit into that in a second. But my New York experience was beautiful, honestly. Like, it was, the biggest thing was the lesson. Like, I learned so much in New York. I've met so many amazing DJs, designers, like, even just people who are just like content creators and things like that. Like, I met so many great people, models, and I met people that weren't so great, but it made the experience 1,000 times better, because I was molding myself finally as a person and as an artist. I was no longer living with my mother. I was living on my own. So I had the freedom to cultivate myself and really know what I like as a person, how I want to be as a person, and it's definitely a lot of hard strings to cut off when you're doing that, because you attach yourself to the things you learned in life, the things you were raised with, the things you were raised on, principles and morals. And some things, it's like you almost have to erase yourself as a person. And I would say that was my time in New York when I was living there, was erasing the old me to become the new me. And that's another reason why, I transitioned into being Tombstone Girl, was to finally create that person I am. Not what my mom thinks I am, not what my dad thinks I am, not what my siblings think I am, not what my friends think I am, but who I am, and how I define myself as a person. But yeah, my time in New York was definitely great. I was grateful for every experience I had, the good, the bad. I wish I could have did certain things better, but it was everything I expected, real shit. It's everything I expected. So transitioning to my third question, which is my time back in Charlotte. Yeah, moving back to Charlotte was kind of rough for me. It's like leaving your town, or let's say this, it's like leaving the country, right? And going to a place you've never been, and you're culture shocked. And then you come back home and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, like you're just like, this is where I live. This is what I've came from. Like, and not in a negative way, but in a way of like, wow, like, you have knowledge that a lot of people don't have, or you've experienced, or you've witnessed, or you've, learned from other people. And you come back with all this new life, this new person that you are. And you hang around people who stayed, behind, didn't really, and it's like different now. You're different. Like your mind is different. Your neural connections are different. Like you're not that same person, that same kid that left and then you just came back and you're still the same person. No, like you're different. And it took me a while to understand that. It took me years actually to understand that, because I lost a lot of friends from disagreements, not understanding each other. And also, I would say even just standing on my shit. I took a lot of bullshit growing up, and, followed a leader type of ordeal. Like I've always been myself, but I've had times where I tried to fit in to certain groups or like with certain people. And, when I got back from Charlotte, it was like I didn't give a fuck about fitting in no more. I didn't care about fitting in with a certain type of group or people, or how people felt about my ideas or how I speak or how I, dealt with my own problems, or, and figuring that out, also was a lesson in itself. Really made me realize who really cares about you and who doesn't. I worked a lot of jobs, a lot of odd jobs, a lot of normal jobs. It was great, but it wasn't pleasure. It was like torment for me. Like it was torment. It felt like I was living in a dream by not doing my dream. Like it was like life was euphoric, but in a negative way. Like it was like I feel high. I feel in this life that I'm not supposed to be in. Like this is not what you're here for. This is not your purpose. This is not who you are, And I was stuck in these places that I didn't want to be, or I didn't feel comfortable at, or I tried to put a fake smile on. And, eventually that fake smile just doesn't work anymore. And you start really feeling like that mask has to come off. And that's kind of how I felt in Charlotte. And I lost a lot of friends. I lost, a lot of people, who were connected with me or did look at me in a certain way and say, oh, like, yeah, that's, but without really understanding the in-depth of how I feel or how I really want to move in life, and where I want to go with my goals and things like that. And it felt good to take off the mask finally, after like 2 years of bullshitting, working jobs that I just literally wanted to kill my fucking self. Like literally. Finally found myself in a better position to be able to create and become the better version of myself. And I had to learn a lot of things. I had to talk to that man in the mirror. I had to look myself in the mirror a lot of the times. Like shit, 24/7 for, every day. For like a good year and a half, 2 years, and just tell myself what you're doing wrong, what you have issues in, what is your problem, like, what's wrong with you, basically, and like, what mistakes have you made that you can become better or change, and I had to blame myself for a lot of the things that transpired against, between me and others, or between me and even in just being in certain environments, and coming back to Charlotte really showed me the best version of myself, honestly. I got to see how strong I was, how, powerful I was, or am, not even was, but am, how, how smart I am, and what things I don't know and things I do know, and that it's okay to be a dummy. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay to not be smart in every aspect of life, and only knowing that I have specific intelligence in certain things that I'm good at. And I had to come to those realizations and be welcoming for new ideas, new lessons, new people in my life. And it's honestly great. Like, I'm grateful for everything that's coming towards me right now, because I'm making a lot of friends, new friends. And also, I feel seen a bit more than I used to. You know, I finally feel like people see me and not just who I thought I was or who they thought I am. You know, who you know, and having assumptions about me, but really seeing what I lay out on a silver platter. And I would say it's a blessing, and I'm really happy for everything. I've been doing shows lately. I dropped an album that means so much to me. And next time I want to get it in a little bit into my album and what it means to me and why I made it and how I felt about it and where it came from, you know, because sometimes, you know, people don't have an understanding fully of what you're doing, and it's because you're not making it aware of what you're doing. You think you might be, but you're not. And I'm learning that as I go along too. So yeah, but those are the 3 questions that I've been asking myself lately, and that I wanted to express and put out there into the world, because I feel like, or to my understanding, I see myself now as an actual artist, like an actual artist, an artist who actually does art, who goes out there pushing and pushing to be seen, to be expressed, you know, to feel the love and the hate, you know, doing what I do. Because not everybody's gonna love you, not everybody's gonna hate you, you know, but to be an artist is the most amazing thing. You know, it's something that chose me and I chose it, and I would have never ever picked a different field, you know, than being an artist. You know, there's so many mediums, there's so many things and ways to express yourself, and I would not want to be anything else but an artist. So that being said, I'm Tombstone Girl from Charlotte, North Carolina, and thank you for listening. I can't hear them cry. 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 I can't what? Cry. Oh yeah? Damn. I guess it has been a long time. I've been sober about a month and I've been feeling just okay. I've been trying to get my life together, trying to pull my weight. I've been fucked up for too long and now I'm getting it out my system. I'm okay with this shit. I got too much I've been missing. 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 Yeah, I kept you at a distance. I had too much I was dealing. I got too much I've been missing. I got too much I've been missing. I was too deep in my feelings. I was too deep in my feelings. I was fucked up in my feelings. I didn't have no fucking mirror. I was too deep in my feelings. I ain't had no fucking mirror. No reflecting, wasn't coherent. I had songs and I couldn't even drop them. I had options and I couldn't find them. I had music but I couldn't hear it. I had love but my heart was tearing. I was talking but I wasn't transparent. Had religion but I wasn't praying. Had my instance but I wasn't giving. Had my lust but I ain't had no fucks. I had gifts but I was too scared to share 'em. I had talents but I was too scared to share 'em. I had skills but I was too scared to share 'em. I had love but I was too scared to share it. I've been sober about a month and I've been feeling just okay. I've been been trying to get my life together, trying to pull my weight. I've been fucked up for too long and now I'm getting it out my system. I'm okay with this shit, I got too much I've been missing. 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 Yeah, I kept you at a distance, I had too much I was dealing. I got too much I've been missing. I got too much I've been missing. I was too deep in my feelings. I was too deep in my feelings. Ain't no reflection in that mirror, so much horror and that terror. I was too deep in my feelings, no reflecting in that mirror. It was too much in that water. I was in the depths of hell by myself, fuck it. I was in the depths of hell, fucking drowning, fuck it. I was in the cold ass water by myself, fuck it. Hell ain't always hot, I was in the tundra, fuck it. I ain't even have a jacket till I saw that light. I ain't even have a jacket till I saw that light. I've awakened and I open my eyes. I've awakened and I open my eyes. Yeah, I see so clearly now, huh? I can speak my fucking mind, huh? Yeah, I see so fucking clearly now, huh? Yeah, speak my fucking mind now. I've been sober about a month and I've been feeling just okay. I've been trying to get my life together, trying to pull my weight. I've been fucked up for too long and now I'm getting it out my system. I'm okay with this shit, I got too much I've been missing. 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 Yeah, I kept you at a distance, I had too much I was dealing. I got too much I've been missing. I got too much I've been missing. I was too deep in my feelings. Yeah, better. Say that. I hear her. You hear her? Do you hear that too? I can hear the motherfucking ancestors in my... Oh yeah. Yeah, I hear the cries of the babies in my basement. I can hear them cries underneath my feet of the bombs. I can hear the cries underneath, I can hear God. I can hear them cries underneath from all the screams. I can hear the cries every night when I can't sleep. I can hear the screams every time I try to dream. I can hear them cries every time I think of mine. I can hear them cries every time I think of mine. I can hear them cries. I can hear them cries. I can hear them cries. I can hear them cries.